Hello, hi, thank you for tuning into my channel. This whole initiative is just to help out international students like you, me, who are suffering through job hunting and wealth creation and life in general. So, hope you drive value out of this video, and if you do, do share it with a friend. Also, check out my Instagram page where I post very valuable informational content. So, I do recommend you check out that page. Now, enjoy the video. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ro Just Hit You. We have Aadhar here, who's from Columbia. So I'm very fortunate that I'm able to get so many accomplished people to the podcast. Thank you so much, Aadhar, for joining us to help us figure out how this whole journey for international students looks like in US. So over to you, Aadhar. I would want you to give a brief introduction of yourself, also how you ended up at Columbia, what helped you, whatnot.
So, hi Rohit, I'm Athar and I'm really excited to do this. Thank you so much for that opportunity. Just to give a brief about myself, I'm currently working as a data science specialist at Lenovo. And before that, as you rightly mentioned, I did my master's in applied analytics at Columbia University in New York. And before that, I did my undergrad degree in electronics and telecommunication engineering from SRM Chennai. And during the course of that degree, I did have beautiful internship stints at companies like Nokia and Airtel. And I do credit those companies to really like credit them to shape who I am at today and the way I deal with technology and data. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, Giving a background about myself, I kind of have a like an engineering and electronics and telecommunications. So my fascination with systems kind of came very early on in life because the I grew up in a very middle class family, like everyone does, and come from a very humble background. But the most important thing was like in my family, education was important and curiosity was always encouraged. And I do somehow feel that technology, as we all know, in Indian households was seen as a way to create opportunity. So that is how
Yeah.
I kind of learned and pivoted myself to go into a technology or a STEM field, as
Hmm.
far as my memory serves me right. And
Yeah.
that kind of signaled me to pursue a degree in engineering while I was in my
Hmm.
middle school and high school. And I kind of was fascinated by the world of networks and technology. And
Hmm.
that kind of propelled me to pursue a streamlined degree in electronics and telecommunication rather than pursuing in computer science because I kind of felt that I wanted to make my own mark rather than
Yeah.
pursue what people are doing because everyone was pivoting towards computer science in India and all across the
Hmm.
world. So I wanted to do something that had a niche in the
Okay.
in the world. But yeah, that kind of was my purpose. And while as I've grown up and like working in telecom to now working as a data scientist and now even working like even not even as a data scientist but as a machine learning engineer or maybe working on automation projects, the one idea that I think has stayed with me is like technology's real purpose is not complexity, it's all about connections. And that is how my journey has shaped me to be able to understand how connections really shape the way you pursue anything in life, be it your academics or be it your personal life, your connections and stuff like that. And because that is how life is, and I do treat it as something that connections help you to navigate your life. And I just try to reprioritize and try to balance them as much I can. So that's a background about myself.
Awesome. Awesome. So, yeah, that was great. Ambition and passion for technology. You mentioned you're very interested in networks and telecommunication, but as you mentioned, right, and I'm sure a lot of viewers will have the same question. How did you end up as a data scientist?
Well, so the thing is, Rohit, while I was pursuing my first internship at Nokia Networks, I went there as a telecom engineer. So I was working on rolling out 4G networks in India for leading telecom giants like Airtel, Vodafone, and Reliance Jio. And at the crux of it, what I could understand is even if I'm a telecom engineer, I'm dealing with a lot of Excel data. And I'm like, this is not what a telecom engineer does, because my understanding was that I would be working on radio frequency and network planning and
Yeah.
optimization. And at the end of the day, I realized that hey, if this is all about data, am I in the wrong place? And then
Hmm.
this was first year in college, after like the first summer after completing my first year. And the second year, I got the opportunity to work with a different sister team in mobile network division at Nokia. And that
So
was purely,
you did two internships
I,
in two consecutive years in Nokia?
so, so I had done 5 internships during my undergrad degree.
Yeah, that's total undergrad, but you started your first internship was at Nokia after your first year of undergrad,
Yes, the
and
second
then after
year,
your second year of
second year,
undergrad,
it was again Nokia.
again Nokia. Okay,
And third year, again Nokia, another team.
okay,
And
okay.
then at that time, since COVID hit and we had a break, so I was
Mm-hmm.
working with a startup known as Babel that
Okay,
was focusing on content creations and blog writing in terms of how do
okay,
you marry data and in network with, let's say, artificial intelligence
mm-hmm.
and marketing sciences. And
Okay,
that kind of all culminated me pursuing an internship at Atel, where I was a full-fledged data analyst,
mm-hmm.
working on crunching data, working on automation using Python and SQL for a simple task like data entry, or in terms of understanding of what's the coverage in the Delhi circle for Airtel. So,
Okay,
coming back to how I pivoted that, this was the whole trajectory. So, I went in as a telecom,
mm-hmm.
I would say not a subject matter expert as an intern,
Yeah,
obviously, but someone who was curious to understand how does my bookish knowledge in college apply to the real world, be it
yeah.
telecom infrastructure that we were taught in college, or maybe signals and systems were as subjects. And then I realized that if data is the new oil,
Yeah.
why not pursue it? Because
Okay. So I have a question here. Um,
sure.
you started your passion in engineering simply because you didn't want to follow computer science, but once you got the opportunity in a field that you liked, you realized that data is the field to be in,
Yes.
and that's what triggered you to make a strategic shift in your career early in your career before you started your full-time journey.
Well, yes, absolutely. You're bang on there.
Okay.
Because what I realized is the fact that as as now working in the industry, like you might as well been aware of, there is always a learning curve that is attached to in whatever
Yeah.
walk of life you go.
Yeah.
And I did understand the fact that there were people who were way ahead of me in terms of telecom infrastructure, and their subject matter
Yeah.
expertise was off the roof. But the crux of the matter is they were not looking at pivoting towards how you can integrate that with
Mm-hmm.
computer science and automation. A lot
Okay.
of processes in telecom industry in India were still manual. That
Okay.
led to a lot of backlogs and stuff like that. And that is how I kind of understand that I want to pick this niche. I don't
Okay.
want to be uh, called a telecom engineer. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be called a data analyst
Mm-hmm.
who understands Python, SQL, machine learning algorithms.
In
But
across industries, be it
yes,
telecom, be it e-commerce now.
exactly. So
Okay.
that is how I shaped myself. I'm like, yes, I would love to work in the mobile network division, be it for operative equipment manufacturing companies like Ericsson, Nokia, or maybe Qualcomm, or maybe Samsung, or maybe to the operator side like Airtel, Vodafone. But at the end of the day, if data is the way forward, why not focus on a concentration that is focused towards data? Because
Mm-hmm.
and that is how I pivoted myself from a pure core, let's say, telecom and
Got it.
telecommunications undergrad to a master's in data analytics or applied analytics.
Okay. So you had your goal in mind that, okay, this is the niche that I've identified in terms of, data is the place I want to be in, be it, in automation or analytics and whatnot. So this brings me to my question. How did you end up at Columbia? Why was this the particular reason that you chose applied analytics as a program at Columbia, or What made you make the choice of the program and the college, and what colleges did you apply to as well?
So, my colleges list, as far as my rememberings, was I had applied to MIT Sloan, I had
Okay.
applied to Columbia, I had applied to Carnegie Mellon, I had applied to UT Austin, I had applied to University of Michigan, and Ross Business School. And coming back to the point, yes, I wanted to
Program
pursue
would be applied analytics and
something similar
similar,
to that. It's an
yeah,
MSBA, Masters of Science in
MSBA.
Business
Yeah.
Analytics, and even if you go to MIT Sloan, they have a wonderful program that is known as the MBAN program.
Hmm.
It's spelled as an MBA, but it's an MBAN program, which is Masters
Right.
of Business Analytics. That's how they spell it out.
Got it.
That's a
Yeah.
that's a 1 year program that makes you industry ready, and
Hmm.
since my background was zero coding, I would say,
Hmm.
because my coding was more to do with RTL structure and Verilog system integrations, that was more towards chip designing and stuff. So I had no background in coding. Whatever little bit of
Yeah.
coding I had learned was during my internship stints at Airtel and Nokia,
Yeah.
or maybe pursuing courses in Udemy or Coursera and trying to
Yeah.
apply that. But that only scratched the surface. And if you want to be competitive enough to, I mean, crack a good opportunity, be it in India or anywhere else in the world, be it in the US, you need to have that particular skilled hone time and again. So I kind of looked at the part that if I have a background in analytics, I should pursue something in analytics. So that is how I kind of applied to colleges that had very wonderful analytics programs. And I also looked at the course structure in terms of what courses I would love to study, whether it's going to be a balance of management and analytics. And let's say if I'm able to cross register across schools to get
Hmm.
more inclusiveness into how the world is heading forward. And one
Hmm.
thing I would like to highlight is one thing before landing my, like, putting my foot inside the US, was I kind of very on in life understood that if I'm pivoting, there's going to be a 5 year gap. Every time, every 5 year, I need to recalibrate whether I am headed towards the right direction or not. And that is something that I would not say happened in 5 years, that happened in 2 years at Columbia. Because when I landed in Columbia, I could realize the world is not heading towards analytics, it is heading towards AI. And AI,
Yeah.
to a point that it was an artificial intelligence, was the talk of the town when I landed in 2022. And I was not even close to learning that. So I had coursework that aided me that, but to be
So
able to
hold on. Before we deep dive into what you did at Columbia, first for the viewers who are not, into data science or who are not into telecom, it's a lot of technical words for them. What they care about is, what programs did you apply to and what colleges did you get into and what was your profile like? So can you explain a bit more on that?
Well, certainly. So the colleges I went into was Carnegie Mellon. I got an
Yeah.
admit from Columbia. I was
Hmm.
listed into UT Austin and University of Michigan.
Yeah.
Uh, I obviously got rejects from MIT, and I had applied to a few other colleges like UCLA as well, and it's a School of
Okay.
Business. And primarily, my job application, my college applications were
Hmm.
focused on analytics per
Okay.
se. And
So how much did you score in? Did you give the GRE?
um, by my time, the GRE was waived off, but I did
Victor.
score a 321 on GRE.
Okay.
Uh, uh, and I do remember the fact that for most of the colleges, they made it optional. So even if you had
Hmm.
submitted your GRE or TOEFL score,
Yeah.
they would not
Yeah.
consider it because it was COVID at that time and they wanted to
Yeah,
have.
but now it's the opposite. Like they're bringing in GRE
Yes.
again now, so
Yeah.
people have
So
to start taking it.
yeah. So GRE becomes paramount, to be honest. And
Okay.
I also didn't only apply to US but other countries as well, like Canada
Hmm.
and UK as well.
Hmm.
Like I got admits from Canada, from York University, and
Hmm.
in the School of Business for their analytics
Okay.
program. And I had applied to London School of Economics and Cambridge as well,
Okay.
because
Did you
I
get into Cambridge?
obviously not. At that point of time, Cambridge sent out a mail saying that we are done with the cap for international students, so we would not be
Oh,
considered. So they, because Cambridge has admits on a rolling basis.
rolling basis. So were you late in applying to
Yeah,
Cambridge?
I was kind of late.
So that's I get a lot of DMs on this that, if not applying to early deadline would be detrimental for my career. And I'm like, no, but it would be great if you apply in the
Yeah,
early
yeah, for
deadlines. There
sure.
are higher chances of you in getting into a
Absolutely.
good college. But yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And
your example serves well. So you got into a decent number of colleges. What was your CGPA? Because I know CGPA plays a critical role. Your undergrad CGPA plays a critical role
so I
in
was a
getting an
nine
admit.
pointer on my undergrad,
Nine, exactly what?
out of 10, 9.0 out
I
of
know, I
10.
know, like 9 point something or 9.2. What was your
It
exact CGPA?
exact GPA was 9. That's what
Oh, exactly, it was 9.
9
Okay,
9.0.
cool, perfect.
And
So,
that's what that's the slang which my friends at college tell, the 9 pointer or a 8.2 pointer. That's
hmm
how the slang goes. So yeah, actually
hmm
I scored a good amount of GPA during my undergrad. That kind of
yeah,
aided me
that
that with the,
helps.
yeah, that helps, as well as having a lot of internship
Internship names,
experience.
yeah,
And
that helps as
I
well.
mean, I was very fortunate enough to have brands under my belt on my
Mm-hmm.
CV, and as well
Mm-hmm.
as indulging in a lot of co-scholastic activities in college as well as
Yeah,
during school as well.
I
That
agree.
side.
Agree. That creates a holistic profile when, universities in US are looking into your profile, or just the universities abroad are looking in. And I want to ask you a very quick question. You mentioned that, you apply to US, you apply to UK, Canada. What made you choose US?
Well, the primary reason of choosing the US as a country to pursue my higher education comes with the fact that it is all about data. And data always tells that in the world in which we are living in, the technology is always first introduced in the American market first.
Mm-hmm.
And being close to Silicon Valley was something I always aspired to do, because I do
Mm-hmm.
understand the fact that there's a lot of technologies we're still working on, or we would work in the coming years. At that
Yeah.
point of time, the notion was that it is originated from Silicon Valley, and American
Yeah.
market would be the first one to be the early adopter of the technology. And if I talk about
Yeah.
telecom, it's like 4G was first introduced in the US. 5G
Yeah.
innovation happened in America, and then it started rolling out in the world. So that kind of
Yeah.
gave me that nuance that if I have to be close to close to technology, I need
Mm-hmm.
to land in the US. And think about
Mm-hmm.
this, like I said about the 5 year window. Even if 5 6 years of an experience, if I have to go across the world to work anywhere, I would have that experience under my belt, and I become an
Yeah.
expert to give that knowledge, pass it to a market which is not exposed to it. I can head that, I can
Yeah.
lead that innovation forward. So
Yeah.
that was my mindset of coming to the United States.
That totally makes sense. I firmly believe that early adoption of technology is way higher in US than in any other country. Similarly, for innovation, we see a lot of new products coming in and people willing to try it out.
Yeah.
So that's really a supportive environment, and that's what has constituted the Silicon Valley. So I absolutely agree to it. So, yeah, coming back to Columbia, you're an Ivy League grad, and Ivy League always has a special place in our hearts simply because we're all coming from humble backgrounds, and we all wanted to get into IITs, we didn't get into IITs, so it serves as a second chance for a bunch of folks like us. So, apart from studies, what made Columbia stand out for you? I mean, you're technically my competitor, but yeah. What was your unique experience about Columbia? What do you remember Columbia for?
Well, that is very sweet words coming from a Cornell grad, to be honest. But
We're smart. We're just smart.
yeah, I mean, to be specific, I would say what really stands out, or let me phrase it in this way, the short answer to this is yes. Brand matters, and it has always mattered to me as a person, as a person of opinion. My opinion firmly is brand recalls, and brands do serve, and they give
I
you a
agree.
mileage, or maybe they give you a foot in the door, but
Yeah.
it is more about competence that serves you well in the long run. It might, even like coming from Colombia, might help you knock some doors, but
Yeah.
it will maybe in the job environment give you some interviews that people were
Hmm.
like, hey, ho, this guy is coming from Columbia, this guy is coming from UPenn, this guy is coming from Cornell, and a very good school. But what actually matters is the way you speak. And once
Hmm.
they see that, then they marry the degree with the competence that the person possesses
Yeah, I
and then
agree.
move forward. So,
Yeah.
yes, I would say it's a double edged sword. Yes,
Yeah.
brand matters to me, but I, in my experience, have seen people coming from, let's say, fairly good colleges in the US or anywhere, but they're doing some amazing work in the field of data science and artificial intelligence. And they're just rocking. And it's
Yeah.
not about then I look at them and say, hey, then the brand doesn't matter at all. At the end of the day, it's the skill and the caliber of the person that fetches more brownie
Yeah.
points
Yeah.
than, let's say, the brand. Because if it was only for the brands, you and I would never have landed into an Ivy League school.
Hmm.
So, like you mentioned about it, it is something like it's a second opportunity that life throws you at. That if you didn't make
Yeah.
into IITs and stuff, you make it into an Ivy League. But think about this: it is if we didn't go to IIT, then people would have thought it's the end of life for us. But it's life. Life is a marathon, right? It is not a race. So you might have people doing very well, exceptionally well in careers that might come from very humble background, but they have done exceptionally well in them because
Yeah.
that is what hard work, perseverance, and I would say your skills uh, make take you forward. To be honest.
Yeah. But how was the Columbia experience? My question
So
still
my
stands.
so Columbia experience, in short, it was amazing
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, even if I wanted to be a technophile person who
Hmm.
needs to understand all technology and I wanted to be uh, an expert in whatever I do, I did understand the fact that I was dealing with a cohort that came for like 20 plus countries. And
Okay.
I still remember a part that I had a team of 25 people during my final year project, uh, which we were doing with Johnson and Johnson of their parent company known as Kenview, in which we were working on a capstone project of understanding what should be the ideal way of targeting marketing campaigns. And I still remember a few of my teammates. I had done some exceptionally good dashboarding on Power BI, and there was a graph that explained a year on year, whatever it is. And someone comes up to me and like, Adar, what do you mean? So I'm like, what do I mean? I just drew a graph for you guys to understand that. But yeah, you drew a graph, but it's not communicating. So that is what I understood from one of the experience at Columbia, that my way of thinking is very unidirectional. It is a very, like, I come from a background, but there are n number of people who are coming from different walks of life, different countries,
Yeah.
different environments. Their way of,
Perspectives.
yeah, their perspective and their way of looking at life is completely different from what I
Yeah.
am. And the beauty of colleges in the US is they help you get the global perspective.
Yeah.
And even if I would say we would have peers coming from our own country, India,
Yeah.
but they would be coming from different parts of India, whether it's Chennai, whether
Yeah,
it's
different
Mumbai or
backgrounds
Delhi.
as well.
Exactly.
The admissions committee tries to like it's very important for them to for the
Exactly.
cohort to have a very unique experience. So no two people of the same similar background would be in the cohort. That's what generally the case is. But yeah. So yeah, coming to the next question. How did job hunting look like for you? I mean, I know you were in the job market in 2023, 1 year before me, I guess. And what was your strategy, number one? And then what were the hits and the misses? What worked for you? What didn't work for you? And overall job hunting strategy that you followed.
I mean, at that point of time, the market was kind of badly hit, I would say, because when I look at 2023 December, the market was trying to recoup from a mass layoffs, streak of layoffs that happened across the tech world because of prioritization of companies pivoting towards AI and they wanted to restructure their organizations. So yeah, the market was tough. I remember the fact that even getting internship calls was pretty tough. You had to tailor your resumes, and I used to apply a lot, like 600. I still remember I did about 1,200 plus applications on internships, And
So was your primary strategy cold
so
applications?
so my primary strategy was divided into 40 to 50% of cold applications.
Okay.
uh, 10 to 15% was networking and try to get the referrals in place,
So
and
LinkedIn reach outs is what you're saying.
LinkedIn reach
10 to
outs, or
15%.
even I would say columnar
Emails,
emails, and even
alumni
talking
emails. Got
alumni,
it. Yeah,
and maybe going to networking events. And if seeing,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
in New York, the beauty was that I was in close proximity to
Yeah.
different
Networking
networking
events.
events, such as have banking,
Yeah.
technology in banking,
Yeah.
healthcare, and finance and stuff like that. So, kind of going there, trying to have that first conversation, and you don't want to like sound like you are begging for a job. You need to strike the
Hmm.
conversation first, and then you kind of subtly tell them that, hey, I'm looking for a good opportunity in an
I know,
organization.
I
If
know.
there is,
Yeah.
so that being said, that was one of the strategies, and 5 to 10%, I would say it was tailoring my resume according to the job description. That kind of played really well for me. Uh,
Hmm.
Initially, while I was doing a bunch of applications, I had only one resume, and then I went to my career department, like career PDL, which we call in Columbia. They kind of told me that you want to have different resumes, like a data analyst, data science, MLE, data engineering resume, so that the most fitted resume according to the JD you can send it across. Because
Got
9
it.
out of 10 times, if you are applying with a unified resume, it's 9 out of 10 getting rejected
Yeah.
on ATS, and you want to customize it. And that's how I dealt with it. And one of the things which kind of really worked out for me was follow-ups. So even if, let's say, I was getting a lot of rejections, I was interviewing, a second round technical interview didn't go well, or I mean third round behavioral didn't go
So
well.
so let's trace back a bit. What strategy yielded into interviews in the first place for you? You mentioned cold applications
Yes.
without customizing your resume. You mentioned reaching out to people. You mentioned customizing your resume and still applying cold. So what
Yes.
got you interviews?
So the thing is, it was a mix of the second and the third point, which was customizing my resume and then
Okay.
applying. That fetched me more brownie points. Then it was trying to get a referral and here and there. But
Mm-hmm.
it was like, the problem was like, even if you reach out to VPs and senior directors, or maybe
Yeah.
let's say even in Columbia Research, we had amazing opportunities. They
Yeah.
were looking for experienced guys, and somehow I
Yeah.
was falling short of it because I didn't have a full time experience back home in India.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something that didn't yield me much more what I was expecting out of. But I think customizing my resume really played well, and how to understanding how to network,
Yeah.
I mean, was something that I didn't know it can do wonders for everyone. So
Mm-hmm.
that those two strategies really played well. And
Mm-hmm.
even if I was applying, I was tracking my applications. I had an Excel. I used to track it
Okay.
with applied, in review, rejected,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And like good companies, like let's say consulting, like
Yeah.
Goldman Sachs, EY, PwC, where I know for a fact that they had a whole principal department of analytics. I used to follow up with a recruiter for a feedback, because feedback
Okay.
really
So how
helps
did
you.
you get the recruit? Was it like once you got a shortlist or an interview, you used to
Yes,
follow up
yes.
with them?
So normally,
Okay.
initially, what happens is whenever you set up an interview, the first HR round happens. That's kind of
Yeah.
across companies, whether it's a
Exploratory
telephonic
call.
interview,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exploratory call, for a fitment, what they're trying to say. But eventually, good companies like a Fortune 500 companies will detach that recruiter with you throughout your process. Even if you land
Mm-hmm.
up a job, they will help you onboard onto the team
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. So even if you didn't make it, I would certainly, I used to like send in a
Follow up with them for
follow
feedback.
mail that, okay, thank you
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much for that opportunity, but I would really appreciate a feedback. That helps
Mm-hmm.
me work, and that really helped.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that one of the interviewer told me was that being concise at the start of the interview, and being elaborative when the interviewer asks, is
Mm-hmm.
what makes and converts the interview, and that really helped me.
Yeah.
And I because I didn't have, and how do I deal with an interview from a company coming from the States? I didn't know that, what their expectations
Yeah.
are, what's the whole analogy of them looking at. And now if I go for an interview, I know what the interviewer would be asking me. So
Yeah.
that's how I
Yeah.
shaped it.
Funny, I got rejected for my first interview for not being concise. So yeah, they really value how concise you are
Yes.
in terms of, what answers you're giving out. So yeah, that was your job hunting strategy. Was your like internship and full-time opportunity, obviously full-time opportunity got converted from internship, but how did you land an internship at Lenovo? Was it through networking, cold application, or personalized
I mean,
application?
mix of both, I would say.
Hmm.
It was an application, then trying to get along with the team and stuff, and then trying to
So did
understand.
you did you reach out to the team director, or how did you end up at
No,
the
no.
team?
So it was kind of a normal application that the recruiter, like I do remember the fact that the recruiter got back to me. I was doing uh, at that point of time, I remember it was the month of January, in which
Yeah.
that's the last season of Jan, February, and March when the recruitment cycle
Hmm.
starts, right after the Christmas or the year-end breaks, and
Yeah.
people are coming back to offices. And I stumbled upon the opportunities, and I started applying, and then I landed up an interview, and then I kind of hooked on with the team, tried to understand what they do, and
So
then
was it like a personalized application according to the JD, or
yes,
was
I
it
would.
just a cold
No, no, no.
application?
So at that point of time, I was pretty bad with my applications. I had zero to none app conversions because
Okay.
everything was going on hold. So I talked to my career advisors, and they told me to like customize it. So even if I had a data science resume, data science intern,
Yeah.
I customize it according to the JD
Hmm.
because sometimes what happens is, Rohit, you might overstuff your resume,
Yeah.
and recruiters, even if you bypass the 8 years, if it goes to the hiring team, they would just
They're
feel like
not
this
able
is
to make sense out
they
of
they,
it.
they would be like, how does this person has like 7 years
Yeah.
worth of experience under his belt, but this is an
Yeah.
intern position, so you might
Yeah.
sound as if overqualified sometimes.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that is how I think I did that. And then certainly I was fortunate enough to work with one of the fantastic teams in Lenovo, and still working with them.
Hmm. Yeah. Perfect. So yeah, now that you're on the other side of the whole job hunting ship, you've interviewed candidates for an intern, the place you were in for your team. What do you look for? I mean, how do you shortlist resumes? What candidate do you look for, and how does it work now? Has something changed? Because the market has only gotten tougher with the new laws and with the competition increasing as well.